Hello, puny humans. Welcome to the last episode of RWBY Talk for the year. Prepare yourselves,
Hell yeah.
fleshlings.
What an intro.
It's that time. It's that RWBY talk time. Let me make
Live?
the announcement here.
Truly live this time?
The ad hoc
I believe-
occurrences that occur in your meat space mean nothing to me in my programming.
Oh, I am the dumb. Hang on. Let me.
Yes, you
I
are. Forrest and I are clearly superior beings in this conversation.
I can fix this.
Well, thank you, Robot Overlord, for including me in that.
Well,
I'm
you are just slightly above him, seeing as your existence only takes up about 2 hours each week. Give or take.
I take up less memory on the cloud, huh?
You take up less system memory in the Matrix.
Fair.
All right. There we go. Sorry to anybody in the Discord server who just got 2 pings. That was my fault. But I deleted the last one, so it's like it never happened.
Be at peace, meat space individuals.
All right.
Meat space individual.
We'll give people a moment to kind of roll in here as usual. But yeah, how you guys doing? It's the last episode of the year.
I believe, as you viewers put it, is the most wonderful time of the year.
That is what we say about it, yes.
Yeah, it's supposedly this is the most wonderful time of the year.
Whoa, guys, I'm back. What happened? I've like blacked out for like 5 minutes.
It's okay, you didn't miss much.
Did I snore?
But
Why
Let's
is
call
it
it
showing
that.
in 720p again? I set it to 1080p. Why is it not projecting in? Why?
It's whatever.
It's whatever. I will fix you, OBS. I will fix you. Just you wait.
Just like you fixed me.
But yeah, so welcome everybody. We're doing the last RWBY talk of the year, because of course they're going on hiatus after this episode. I think they said until February, right?
I believe so. And that means, for the first time ever, the hiatus will be longer than just the holidays of like 2 or 3 weeks. It's now 2 months.
I mean,
Yeah, it's gonna be.
they've earned it.
Yeah, no, they've.
Oh, that is not in question.
Yeah, I mean, and it'll give. I mean, look, it'll give me more time to kind of focus on all of the amazing shows that are coming in January. Because there's a lot of good stuff. I mean, there's the final season of Attack on Titan. There's.
Which has already started.
Yeah, it is. It has. There's.
I have a confession to make. I haven't started watching it yet.
Oh, you fool!
Terrible.
There's also, I mean, we got the second season of Dr. Stone, second season of That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime, also freaking the part 2 of ReZero season 2.
Are those starting up in January or February?
Yeah, those are starting in January. Also, not to mention freaking Promised Neverland season 2. A lot of good stuff is coming in January.
God.
A lot of good stuff is coming in January, and a lot of bad things are leaving in January. I'm not gonna name names.
Well, also to follow that up in like late March, My Hero season 5 is coming back. That got a confirmed date.
Shit. Oh, damn.
Back. Are we gonna
I didn't know that they had confirmed a date for that.
I thought
The
I saw
train
something
movie?
that confirmed it.
I want to see the train movie. When is that coming?
Oh, the
The
Demon
train-
Slayer movie?
Oh,
Yeah.
that one.
Subs
Yeah.
would be, you know, since we're
That would
kind of just
be
waiting to
fantastic.
get started in earnest, why don't we find out?
Yeah. I want that.
I also want whatever the Made in Abyss movie, the third act.
Right? Where the fuck are the Made in Abyss movies? Like, Made in Abyss came out in 2017.
It's been
I
3
mean-
years. Where is it?
They're probably translated. I don't know how this works. Look,
It might not necessarily be the highest on their priority list right now.
Probably
yeah.
not.
Also, global pandemic and all that. logistics are a little more complicated these days.
Well, last we heard, general screening scheduled for February 4th of 2021.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
For what?
That was like before like COVID stuff hit.
Oh,
I think.
damn it! But that's for the Demon Slayer movie.
Yeah, I believe. I don't know. I don't know this site. I'm not sure entirely if it's credible, but that's what I'm seeing so far.
Gotcha.
Damn.
So probably delayed, but
I mean,
I need
COVID,
it.
Take anything you enjoy, push it back 3 to 6 months.
No.
At least.
Where I want the things, guys.
Yeah,
Want all
we
the
know,
things.
dude. We're all in the same fucking boat. Don't you think we understand?
But anyways, welcome everybody. We're not here to talk about anime as much as we love talking about anime. We're here to talk about fake anime called RWBY.
Western anime.
We're even
Yeah.
more degenerates than anime lovers. We're fake anime lovers.
Yeah, we're talking today about RWBY Volume 8, Chapter 7, War. And I guess we should go ahead and
What
introduce...
is it good for?
What?
Sorry.
Yeah, I guess we should go ahead and introduce ourselves. Hi, what's up, everybody? My name's Brian. I'm the head of the audio department here at RWBY Productions, and I voice Neptune in RWBY Aburged. And with me today, I have...
You have me. I'm also known as this fucker, who somehow manages to get us all together each week and run the technical side in the background so that everybody else can be funny, while I make sure that my computer doesn't spontaneously combust in the meantime. You can also find me when I'm not doing that, helping out as an admin on the RWBY Productions Discord server. So if you come over there and you're having any problems, you let me know. I go by Ventress, and I'll be more than happy to hear what you have to say. And speaking of spontaneous combustion, hey Forrest, how you doing?
Forest fire joke. So good. So
What,
good.
you thought I was just gonna stop?
No.
It's about as original as people telling him to run.
You
Look,
know,
man.
every time I move faster than their walking pace.
I never said I was original.
That's true. That's true. Well, I am also here. I am not on fire today, but, you know, it comes and goes.
Yeah.
And I'm here to talk about RWBY.
Excellent. What a coincidence. We are also here to talk about RWBY.
Who could
Now,
predict it?
you might notice that there is a void here today.
There is.
Katie is not here. Unfortunately, she had other things that she had to take care of today. It's very upsetting. But don't worry, I'm sure that she will be back when we come back after the break. But for today, you're stuck with us fuckers.
Oh, woe betide thee.
Yeah, sorry guys, Katie had things to do in meat space.
Yep. So, I guess we should just launch into it. Hey guys, have y'all seen this little show called RWBY?
I don't know, is it different than RWBY?
Slightly. Spin-off.
Spin-off.
Ah.
Oh yeah, maybe I've seen that. I don't know. I kind of keep up with all the content.
Yeah. There's RWBY and then there's RWBY Chibi.
Ah, okay. I think
Yeah.
I know where you're going with this.
Yeah,
So what's going on?
What's going on is there's a big fight in Atlas.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, by the
What?
way, sorry, forgot something very important. Hey guys, guess what? We're talking about RWBY Volume 8, Chapter 7, War, which is currently only available on Rooster Teeth First. So, if you're not a First member and you haven't seen the episode and you care about spoilers, guess what? There's gonna be spoilers. Okay. And now spoilers in 3, 2, 1. Atlas is fucked.
I'm sorry, we knew that last week. Tell me something I did not
I mean,
already
it's
know.
extra fucked now, though.
Oh, is it
Well,
now?
now-
Damn, okay.
I don't know.
I couldn't
They had
tell with
some-
people running and screaming into subway tunnels as the Atlas Patrol people who are just standing out there in the middle of a field shooting at them with no barricades or trenches whatsoever. Gee.
Yeah,
I mean, they didn't have a lot of warning, okay? They're kind of like sipping tea, drinking coffee, you know, putting their feet up on the desk, and then like, whoop.
What do you
there's
mean
a
they didn't
sky
have a lot
whale.
of time? They knew that they've been grim attacking for days.
there
Not
was.
in the fields.
Yeah,
They didn't know the whale was gonna land. They
I'm-
had a
I'm-
shield for that.
It just still. Why are they hanging out in the fields then and not in the defensive emplacements?
I mean, you would think on top of the wall that is built
You-
around the city
you
would maybe be a
would.
better spot.
Wouldn't you?
Hmm.
I would think that actually. That is kind of what walls
And-
are for, but
Where where are grenades?
I'm sorry. It's almost like walls don't work.
I mean, I agree, walls don't work, but it would take them a little while longer to get to you while they're running through open ground where you could shoot them than standing in front of the field and saying, "Hi, I'm bait. Eat me."
I mean, look. Here's what I think. Right. So the whale landed, and you somehow got a bunch of people mobilized really quickly. So it's not so much that they're chilling in the fields that I'm like concerned about. It's more so the way that they've like set up their like battalion group thing, right?
Yeah.
It's like, I'm sorry, the way that they set it up, it doesn't seem very smart, because everybody is lined up like single file. So the only people who can actually shoot are the people who are on the very front line.
Unless the front line crouches down and then the line behind them shoot over their shoulder. So
Yeah,
one,
it's
maybe
like-
two.
It's not very smart. It's like, if you've got that many people, maybe form like a larger defensive line that stretches like further to the side, and then like, I don't know, form a defensive line and maybe try to like push it back a little bit, get a little, I don't know, just don't line up so that you're shooting your friends.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think they
so
would have thought
this
better
little-
when they were lining up in front of the world's largest Pez dispenser, as
Well, this-
as Steriker put it.
Oh, is that it's not Killy Willy anymore? It's a Pez dispenser.
What makes you think it can't be both?
You can be both.
It seems to be
Killy
doing
Willy,
that
the
just
giant
fine.
whale. The giant flying whale Pez dispenser. Yeah, that's that. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Also, can we talk about worst dad ever who takes 10 bajillion years to take his daughter to the subway?
It's like,
Yeah,
dude,
everyone
where are
else
your
is
survival
gone.
instincts? Good grief. Everybody else
I mean,
seems
he-
to have some, and what are you doing? Standing there like an idiot in the movies, staring at the danger coming towards you and saying,
Let's wait until the entire sky is black with flying grim, and then go to the subway.
There's
He
always
was
going to
just
be
trying
that
to
one
like wait out
guy.
the crowd.
But still, though.
Well,
Yeah.
I am glad to see that we were asking about robots. I've been asking about robots the last couple episodes. Hey,
Yeah, so-
we're gonna have some robot fights.
Yeah, here are the paladins. Getting their
They're
fucking
the
asses
paladins.
handed to them, but sure.
They're not gonna look. Okay, their defensive positions are like if they were a medieval army.
Yeah.
Because, like
Phalanx.
swords, you can't really, like you can't throw your sword. Like a sword is a melee weapon, so
Right.
it doesn't matter if you're behind somebody because you couldn't attack anyways.
And
And if
bows and
you're an archer,
arrows, you can
you can
shoot
shoot
over
over
the heads of your allies.
Yeah. Well, who's to say that these Atlas military guys don't have, non-linear firing weapons? They don't have indirect fire weapons that they can lob over the heads of.
I mean,
they could.
they
don't, but
could.
They could.
They could. Not that we've seen any of them, but they could.
Still technically possible.
It's just anybody with any level of tactical brilliance could have told them, if you're going to make a stand, don't make a stand right there.
Yeah, like, the way that they're lined up is like,
British
what are
lines
you doing?
back in the day.
What
It's
are you
literally
doing? Like, they've got all these paladins, and they're all just single file.
And they're kind of scattered. The paladins are scattered around. Like, those paladins are going to be swinging around and stomping. And heck, they're going to crush more of their own guys than they are Grim at this point.
Yeah.
Also, I
Like-
don't know if the paladins had guns or not.
Oh, they had
Yeah,
guns.
they do.
Oh,
Yeah, they do.
They
good.
had big old guns.
Good. They didn't miss out on that perfect opportunity. Thank goodness.
God, I just... Whoever is in charge of that army and is in charge of defending Atlas in this situation needs to be relieved of command. Because...
I have a feeling they will be shortly if they're on that field.
Yeah, probably.
But on a production level setting, could it have been like a production level thing where they just didn't have the capacity to like make the environment and plot it out so that they could have a grim battle coming up the wall against the Elysian defenses? That is an interesting question.
I honestly think that from a production standpoint, the decision was made because they thought it looked really cool to have a bunch of people lined up like that.
Yep.
And didn't necessarily consider how little sense it made.
Rule of cool did not necessarily work out in their favor here.
Yeah.
Hey, the rule of cool also gave us their broken moon, which they did eventually like retcon into the lore. So maybe there's a reason that they're all stacked up like this that we just don't understand.
Well, okay, but here's the thing about the rule of cool and the moon, though. It's like the moon didn't, at least until much, much later, didn't really affect any plot things. It was just like, oh yeah, the moon's broken. It's just like, that's neat.
That's
right?
a world
So,
feature that we've never seen before, or at least is not
right?
very common.
So it's like, sure, for like many reasons, that doesn't really like work out to make sense in the real world, having a broken moon like that. But I don't know, it didn't affect anything about the story, at least in the early days. So it was like, yeah, whatever. It's just a broken moon. That's pretty cool, right? So that's it. That's easy to forgive as like, oh yeah, it's the rule of cool, even though that wouldn't be how that works. Like that's cool. That's fine. This is like, the rule of cool is gonna get Atlas destroyed.
Which has by far greater context and, consequences than a shattered moon showing up in the background of a fight scene.
Yeah, that's true. It's this more of a bit. This is more of a like, well, their defensive strategy, kind of bad.
Kind of abysmal, actually.
Like, their field commander must have been studying the Roman failings at the time. It's like, this worked for them back then, it'll work for us now.
Yeah, he just forgot the whole phalanx part of the, the shield part of
That's what paladins are for, right? They're walking shields, they'll do.
Well, yeah. I mean, not against... They've got a whole bunch of those little zippy Smilodon Grim. Like, those are just going to completely surround that army and attack from all sides. And it's just going to... It's not going to... They also got Apathy out there, too.
They had
Apathy,
I don't know how... and the Elephants. Whose name...
Ooh, that's true.
It's like...
the Goliaths.
The Goliaths, yeah. If they're coming out with the fucking Goliaths, man, you're in for a day.
I like how they named the Goliaths back when those were the biggest Grim.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, oh, what's a really big, cool name? And then, like, Killy Willy shows up and they're just like, oh.
What do we call that?
If the elephants are Goliath, Killy Willy is like...
Leviathan?
Planetoid sized.
Also, just random thought. Before this attack, where was Salem storing Killy Willy?
I get the
On
feeling
the
that
Dragon
Killy Willy
Continent.
was. I have no fucking clue, dude. That pool just seems to. I have no idea if that pool has like a limited amount that it can just spill out. Because that's what seems to be coming out of Killy Willy's mouth is just the contents of the black pool.
Yeah.
And so I have no idea if there's a limit to how much of the contents of the pool is there. I get the feeling that it doesn't, and that it will pour endlessly until the end of time. So maybe she just filled up a lake the size of Lake Mead or whatever, and just said, "Fill her up." And
Do you
then
think
when the
so?
Willy came out, it's like, "All right, drink up, drink it all. We're
Yeah.
gonna go for a ride."
So do you think there's a limited amount of Grim Goop in Killy Willy? Like Killy Willy scooped up a bunch of Grim Goop and then transported it, and it's just been holding the Grim Goop in it for the whole time, and then now it's spilling it all out. But there's like it's not generating Grim Goop from inside Killy Willy.
That would be interesting. But an interesting fact is it's already spilled up enough, I think, that if it were even a normal whale its size, it would have already emptied its stomach. At least in my opinion.
I feel like it's probably generating Grim Group, unfortunately, because I mean, we've seen these other major like Grim, like we've seen our Dragon Boy, Kevin, dropping Grim Goop on the ground. He just seemed to be secreting that.
That is fair enough.
That's
I've
true,
forgotten
yeah.
about that. Funny what 5 years will help you forget. But yeah. If Killy Willy is on the same level, then yeah, that or close to it, that would probably tell us why it can just vomit Grim Goop. But I'm willing to bet it has a limited amount that it can only goop out at one time. Salem's probably just like, all right, you're full now, puke.
Yeah. So, in any case, Ironwood sends everyone to the subway, and Ironwood tells Winter to stand by and not let the fugitives out of her sight. And he wants her to do that because he's gonna use a big bomb on Killy Willy, despite the fact that Oscar is still in there. And now, I kind of wanted to, because I know that we've been rather harsh on Ironwood this season in terms of the decisions that he's making.
I mean,
which I think is justified.
Shooting heads of his own government, kind of a big no-no.
But what do you think about this decision? This decision of we can't wait to save Oscar. We just have to go deal with this.
I actually understand it. Instead of it being crazy like some of his other decisions, this is actually rational. It's like, first of all, why would I save one person's life to save thousands? When I could obliterate potentially Salem's current form for a little while and her mount and whatever mortal troops she has in there, because we know she has those kind of people like Tyrion and Emerald and Mercury, blah blah blah. One bomb in there that potentially obliterates all of them sounds like a great idea. Especially because the one person who they care about would just reincarnate in some other kid.
Yeah, that's my main point. Does he know Oscar's in there?
I don't think he knows Oscar's in there.
But like, even if he did, sacrificing Oscar and even Ozpin, who's just going to come back somewhere.
I think Ironwood might be of the opinion that Oscar is dead.
You know what? He doesn't have any reason to believe otherwise right now.
Yeah, I think
because no one else knows that he shot Oscar, right? He didn't like go brag about that. I'm sure to the team.
Yeah.
Hey guys, I just shot a kid off a cliff. Good day.
I'm gonna go hang out with Darth Maul in the break room. Yeah, he'll be very happy about that. But
hang out with Watts in the break room. Yeah.
But this is, I mean, but even the Aesop's arguing that like it's not worth a single life. I think they have a point.
They have a perfectly good point. It's just that they have a couple of prisoners who are willing to take the risk to free Oscar, and since it doesn't really matter if they let them go in anyway, why not? They're not gonna
Yeah.
like do anything too crazy.
They do know that they're good fighters. I'm sure the Aesops would be like, "Hey, we could use you on the front lines. You know, don't go jump inside a sky whale all by yourself that we're just gonna blow up anyways and get yourselves killed. We could use you fighting the Grim."
Mm-hmm.
Assuming that we want. I mean, you know, they're supposed to be like prisoners and they're taking them to like holding or whatever. But even the Aesops are not so stupid that they're going to be like, yes, let's lock these very good fighters that defeated us before in battle, and let's lock them in the brig while the Grim attack the city. Like, it wouldn't take, I think, a lot of convincing for them to be like, all right, we'll let you go. Maybe we'll arrest you later or whatever, but like, help us out now, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So basically, yeah, they want to use a bomb. And Salem is busy playing Grim Goop like a fiddle. She's just
conductor.
like
She's
yeah, she's like
conducting
conducting an
symphony up
orchestra.
there.
Yeah,
That was actually really cool. That part, I like.
yeah,
It definitely adds to her uh, image, I guess it was, of being crazy to a certain respect. It's like, and now for the crescendo as Killy Willy opens his mouth again and vomits.
Yeah. It's like, well, I think it leads to that puppet master sort of appeal. Like, okay, now we're gonna bring this part in, and let's destroy this over there, and just waving in the air as she's directing each element of her army.
Mm-hmm.
That's a cool image. Also, she could, they've sort of been playing around with this, the way Killy Willy's head works.
Yeah,
And that she can see, at least from the inside, it's it's like a one-way window.
yeah.
Which is
I imagine
cool.
that is magical to a certain degree.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. My personal tricked out ride has a one-way window. Why wouldn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, it's very useful. That's like an IMAX, that's like the Dome Theater, like.
Are you saying that Salem crossed over the entire ocean with her personal IMAX theater?
Yeah.
When they when she's not plotting the destruction of the world, she and her crew have movie nights.
Yeah, they're just watching nature documentaries on like, Grimm or something on the big screen.
There's a break room or something next to it with like popcorn and all the other like condiments and attractions of a modern day movie theater. It's like, oh hey, pizza.
Yeah,
They're watching those Bruce Willis movies.
Yes, the latest Bruce Willis movies. They're like, okay, so here's the condiment stand. There's the jail where we torture prisoners. Over here you can get some water and soda.
Oh, and let's watch a Christmas movie or winter festival movie. How about Die Hard?
Yes.
So
that was what they were doing, this whole time while they were floating around Atlas watching Christmas movies.
So Ozpin
there's actually an important point that we get to in between then and now. Ren is like the ability to read auras?
No, that's much later in the episode, my guy.
Is it really much later in the episode?
Yeah, that's like toward the end.
Oh, okay. But we were talking about the bomb, though. Never mind.
Yeah, the bomb comes up towards the start. Yeah.
Okay.
We've now got emeralds kind of creeping around.
Oh, yeah, okay. Never mind.
Yeah.
Continue.
Yeah. Emerald's sort of creeping around. She hides herself from the seer, which, I don't know about you guys, I wouldn't necessarily trust that the seer can't see out the back.
That was my first thought.
That seems like something that would have 360-degree coverage. Sorry.
It's an orb. It's a floating like it's like those security cameras that are just a black orb, like a half sphere, and you can't tell where the camera's pointed because it's like, don't trust that it doesn't see behind it. What are you doing?
Yeah. So, she kind of goes and listens in on a little beating between Hazel and Ozpin. And Ozpin keeps working Hazel on just sort of his line of thought with joining Salem. And he seems to be kind of making some progress, kind of aggravating Hazel a little bit, getting him to question more things, which only, I think, exacerbates the beating, but, it's progress. Then we move to a little scene with in Schnee Manor, and Nora has a line where she's kind of like sitting there passed out, and she says, "Now what am I good for?" Which is
well, kind of in like a dream. She's not fully awake, I think, but yeah. She's not doing so hot.
No, she needs a doctor.
Yeah, kind of hard to like heal electrical birds from the safety and comfort of your own home.
Yeah.
They're missing Jean over here.
Yeah, well, Jean is a little busy right now being captured.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit.
And then May comes in and kind of gives them a little update, and she wants them to go protect Mantle, but they're like, I don't know, there's a big battle here in Atlas. Are you sure we shouldn't, be involved in that? Or, I mean, do we just sit and wait for help? Like, our side of the plan was get the message out to the world. We did that, so now what? And May is basically like, no, we need to go protect Mantle, but they're like, yeah, I don't know, and so they kind of get into this argument. And then for the first time, we get a in-canon confirmation that May is in fact trans, which, I mean, for anybody who was paying attention last season, this should not come as a surprise. But I did see some people saying that, like, the trans thing was abrupt.
That's a thing we've known about for over a year now.
Well, I mean, right. But in fairness to those people, right, that was confirmed outside of the show by Miles and Carrie.
I guess.
So
that's
for
fair.
anybody who wasn't paying attention to that, but at the same time, like, I don't know. I mean, is it abrupt to tell someone you're trans? Like, what is the proper setup for that?
That's kind of hard to set up.
Well,
like,
maybe it was abrupt, but it was intentionally so on the part. Like, that seems like the kind of, the way it was delivered was sort of an intentional, I feel like, like hammering home the point. Because her point, right, is that, no, I don't have any family up here, right?
Yeah.
My family doesn't accept me for a number of reasons. And, oh, by the way, just insult to injury, here's one of them. Bet you didn't know that. Like, it felt like it was kind of used as an abrupt, like, hey, sit down, you don't know what the heck you're talking about.
Yeah. Like, there were, so I saw a number of people being like, I felt this was abrupt, and I was just like, well, I mean, I don't know how. I mean, like, you can say that maybe it felt a little weird. Like, I could definitely see that, but I don't, like, they're basically talking about how it wasn't set up properly, and I don't understand that, because I guess I'm of the opinion that shouldn't have to be set up. That a character is just like, oh, by the way, I'm trans. It's just like, okay, cool, that's your identity. That doesn't require an explanation.
Yeah, we didn't need to have, like, follow up this character for a while and see, like, hey, by the way, and so I feel like I would agree that it felt a little abrupt. I just don't think that I have a problem with it being abrupt.
Yeah. Like, so that was just that was an observation that I saw people making, and I definitely think that perhaps my view on it is skewed because obviously all of us remember, them confirming back in Volume 7 that May was trans outside of the show.
I will say though that if you hadn't told me, because I don't really follow Miles and Carrie on Twitter, I would never have known until today.
Well, I wouldn't have known. Actually, in fairness, I wouldn't have known either. It was I think it was Bo on the podcast that that pointed that out because they follow more of those people on Twitter.
Yeah.
But
it's good to have an in-universe,
yeah,
acknowledgement of that, especially for a show that has kind of danced around the whole, Yang and Blake thing for a while now, and they haven't really confirmed anything. Like, okay, we see where this is going, but it's nice to just have here by the way.
Yeah. And I do kind of like
teasing LGBTQ plus representation, actually just having it.
Yeah, and I also like the fact that it's not, I mean, the way that they've sort of been handling it, right, is because obviously these are not the first LGBT characters that we've had in the show. I like the fact that in pretty much each case, it's handled as kind of an offhanded comment, where it's like, oh, by the way, this character is this. And that's sort of the extent of it, because the fact that those characters are LGBT is not the defining characteristic of who they are. Right? There's it's just kind of an added thing. And so they're not feeling this need to go in and deeply explore that or explain that, and are just handling it much more naturally as just one more facet of who these people are. And I think that that's really good.
I agree.
But yeah, so I guess I don't know, maybe to some people it was like, oh, this is really abrupt and really weird. But I don't know. I thought it was fine.
People are going to have their opinions. I personally had no particular issue with it, probably because I knew about it in advance.
Yeah, I think it definitely helped that I knew about it in advance.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, if they are mentioning it, maybe it will become a plot point. I doubt it, though. I don't see them bringing back that plot point.
If anything, I'm glad that they acknowledged it in the show. That way, because I think we had this conversation a couple podcasts ago where, representation isn't really representation unless it's, acknowledged in the show itself.
And perhaps
you can't go rather than pulling a J.K. Rowling and just being oh yeah, by the way, Dumbledore's gay, 20 years after the fact.
Well, Dumbledore's gay was the tamest of the things that she said afterwards.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the least of the but we don't talk about the Twitter retconning of J.K. Rowling. We just there are some things that need to be discussed.
Where it's just these characters were LGBT. Cool. It would have been nice to know that while reading it.
it
Honestly,
would have been nice if you wrote that into the story.
Yeah.
It's kind of a heavy subject for a kid's book that's meant to entrance and enthrall kids.
Yeah, but it's okay. But that's the thing. I really feel like it shouldn't be a heavy subject.
I mean, it shouldn't be, but at the current time it was written, it was.
I think the issue more, and now we're getting into the weeds, but I think the issue more is that it's if you didn't write it into the story, you can't just go back and say, oh yeah, by the way, after the fact, that was definitely what I meant with that. That's definitely,
Yeah, that's
no,
the thing.
You didn't. You're just trying to score brownie points on Twitter these days.
Yeah.
You didn't write it that way. Don't tell us that.
Yeah, it's there's nothing wrong with what she wrote originally, in that it functioned and it served its purpose, and it's not necessarily flawed for not having those it's not flawed for not having those elements in it. It's perfectly fine in its own standalone way. But yeah, as Forrest said, you can't just go back and retcon stuff and be like, oh no, that's what I meant with it, and it's no, you didn't. Stop trying to make it like you were.
Anyways, next
yes.
point.
So I'm glad RWBY is
go.
not doing that.
But yeah, so where am I notes wise? Because I definitely didn't have J.K. Rowling in my notes.
Oh, you didn't, huh? I think we see
Um,
the last part of the scene is we see Whitley like by the door,
yeah,
and it seems because they're talking about, hey, we're all in this together. Mantle and Atlas, Ruby comes in and does her
yeah,
Ruby thing, and she's
Her
like, hey
inspirational
guys,
leadership
look,
speech.
yeah,
we all gotta work together, or we're not gonna do anything. So
yeah.
and
Because May essentially comes in. I mean, like they kind of get into this heated argument. May's like, "Whose side are you on?" And Ruby's like, "Excuse you, there are no sides.
there's,
It is us
there's
and Salem."
we got goopy monsters with an evil puppet master, and not that.
Which one
Those
would
are
Those
be
are
the
the
only
sides.
sides.
Yeah. So we're finally getting our Whitley our Whitley characterization.
Well, that comes actually just a moment after that when they're arguing about it.
Yeah.
Because they go to the door and who is there but Klein?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I mean,
that's true.
you're once again you're getting
we wanna
way
skip
ahead of
ahead?
yourself.
Aren't we there at that argument already?
No,
Nope.
they break these scenes up into chunks.
I mean, we
Ah!
don't necessarily have to talk about them in order, but
I
Yeah.
thought this was where we were already.
Well, I mean, I feel like that one we do have to because that one leads into the very end scene.
that's true. That's true. We'll
There-
save that for the end.
But
So
there's
meanwhile-
a follow-up scene after that follows afterwards, though.
yeah.
That I think that's split up between that and the second ship. I could be wrong.
Yeah, we're back to Oscar getting the snot
Yep.
beat out of him.
Yep, correct. And so Ozpin decides to tell Hazel Salem's story, the one that we learned in the Salem info dump.
The Salem info dump.
This is
And,
the second Salem info dump.
Yep. And so Hazel's like, well, you know, that's a cool story and all, but I don't trust you. And Oscar makes a bold move. He asks Ozpin to give him control back and to trust him. And then he tells Hazel what he wants to know. He tells him, call Jin's name. She can answer one more question. And at first, Hazel is really mad. He's like, oh, really? Like, after all that stuff you said, you're just going to give Salem the information now? And Oscar's like, no, I'm not giving it to Salem. I'm giving it to you.
Shots
And-
fired. That's a big play right there.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, it's a big risk, but, like, it might pay off.
Here's the
Because he
thing, though.
basically.
I'm
Sorry,
I-
go ahead. Good.
If only Hazel had been there for a follow-up scene that we'll get to in a moment, he might not have necessarily needed to ask the question he's going to ask if he does what Oscar believes he will, which we'll get to. I wanted to put that out there, but it is a risk, especially because that is Jin's last question for the century.
Yeah.
We don't know when those come back.
Yeah, does the century start, like, is it like a timed basis where it's like every, like, you know, okay, like 200 years AD and then it renews on 300 AD? Or is it like a situation where it's like after you ask the first question, that's when the timer starts? Or is it after you ask the last question, the timer starts? Like, we don't know.
Or
We don't
is
know.
each question on an independent timer? I mean, for all we know, this could be New Year's Eve of, the Year of Remnant 2049 or whatever, and tomorrow I'll be like, oh, well, we have 3 more questions. Hey, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
we don't know, and no one has bothered to enlighten us as to when they will regenerate. So we don't know. Maybe it will become a plot convenient point next season or 2, when it's like, I have more questions now for you, Salem.
Well, we absolutely have more questions. Like, yo, what happened to Ruby's mom?
Yeah.
That'd be great to
That
know, but I
one.
think they might want to ask how Salem could be stopped.
I mean, that's
Mhm.
also important too, but
Maybe make that
Priorities.
question 1. Maybe put that as like question 3 if you get lucky.
Well, I have a feeling that we may not actually have to ask Jin for that. We already last season got a little bit of, a little bit of a tease out of Salem when she was trying to get in Ruby's head, and I mean successfully so. But
Mhm.
it's quite possible that we may find out more about Summer Rose this season, but not from Jin.
We shall see. Jake,
Yeah.
I like the thinking, but no, it cannot. I mean, if it was asked to make another lamp, it would make legitimately just another lamp. I would probably not put a gin in there
Yeah.
because
Does
Because
that
you can't
these are
asking
ask
the
for
for
more
more
wishes?
these are the relics. I feel like that's probably the one thing that the relics can't do is make more relics.
Rule number
Yeah.
1: can't ask for any more questions.
Yep.
Rule number 2: I can't make anybody fall in love with anybody else.
Yeah.
Yep.
Can't ask for 3 more wishes.
I forget what the third rule was. No zombies. I think that was it.
um so yeah, basically Ozpin makes this big play, or sorry, Oscar makes this big play, and Emerald overhears all of this. Mercury isn't convinced though. He's like, he's a prisoner. He's gonna say what he wants so that he can get free.
Which is fair. That is
Yeah.
kind of how that works.
Mm-hmm.
And so he and Emerald kind of get into it a little bit. But then he's just like, besides, Salem's not gonna end the world, to which Tyrion is like, of course she is!
Yeah.
Do you think
It's
otherwise?
just like, and it's like that moment where you realize that Tyrion is the most sane out of all of them.
Yeah. It's just
I wouldn't say
I-
that.
I'd say that he's the most aware of the situation at hand rather than sane. Because
No, I think he's completely insane, and that's why he's so aware of this. Because any sane person would be like, "Oh, we're trying to end the world. Maybe pass on that." But he's so crazy. He's like, "Oh yeah, that sounds good."
Oblivion sounds great. Where do I sign up?
Yeah.
The
Salem is destruction incarnate.
What I wish is that Hazel could have been there for that statement.
Yeah.
Because if Hazel had been there, and perhaps Tyrion had made a convincing enough statement, that might have been all that Hazel needed to hear. He might not have needed to use the question, which it looks like he might. And
Perhaps.
perhaps. I'm saying that is a perhaps. That's not a
However,
guarantee.
Hazel does have a slightly uphill battle if he wants to use the lamp, because right now I'm pretty sure Salem is the one in possession of the lamp.
I'm fairly sure that she is. Because why on earth
To
would she
find a
let
way
that out
that-
of her sight? It's a relic.
Yeah.
Yep. So
I think he's gonna have to find a way to use the lamp. I think because it's a trust kind of thing, right? Like, yeah, he could have overheard this conversation, but he needs to establish that trust between him and Oscar, or him and Ozpin, or him and
the Oz.
The Oz's.
The Aussies?
See, this is an interesting development, because I was, we've been saying Emerald's gonna be the weak link, and obviously Emerald's like freaking out.
Emerald's
right?
freaking out. Mercury's freaking out.
Mercury's kind of freaking out. And now even Hayes. I mean, we've already known that Neo is like not about this, and Cinder has never been about this, even though she's claimed, otherwise. Tyrion's kind of the only one left, and I don't like his odds against all the other baddies.
If they decide to team up against him. And Watts.
I mean,
if Watts makes an appearance.
There's also Watts.
There's also
That's true.
Watts, but Watts is kind of incapacitated at the moment with. Oh, okay, never mind that. But right, he's kind of out of the picture until Cinder can rescue him.
Yeah, I don't know that Watts is.
Oh, yeah. Jake in the chat makes a good point. This is a good time to remember that Emerald is based off Aladdin.
Ah,
Is she? I didn't even know. What?
did not
I did not
realize
know that actually.
Is she?
Hang on.
That was a great time to pull up the
Emerald is
RWBY wiki.
based.
Yep, that's
Yes,
exactly what I'm doing.
What? Emerald? Well, I knew that she was probably based off something, but like Aladdin.
They do like their fairy tale backstories.
I mean, we've all known by now that most of our enemy cast are dynamic duos without the other, right? Like,
So she's Aladdin without the genie?
well, I was thinking like Watson without his Sherlock, Hazel without Gretel or Hansel, as it would be.
Yeah. And obviously Cinderella without
Her knight in shining armor.
prince. Yeah.
And the Scorpion
Yeah.
without the frog. For Tyrion, I believe.
Yeah. I'm trying to I'm just gonna control F for Aladdin.
Yeah.
Wait, so then what's Mercury? I've never
Yeah,
figured out
I'm
what
not actually
Mercury's
sure.
thing is. I mean,
Um,
Mercury is the... Correct me if I'm wrong. Mercury is the Roman name for Hermes, right?
Yes.
God of messengers. That's why the winged shoe. Yeah, okay. So
That's why he has shoes. He's also lived up to
Hermes-
his namesake in being like a fair weather friend, or at least appearing to be.
yeah, but what is... Who's Hermes got that
Well,
he... I don't...
that's like for the
My
main
Greek
trio
mythology
of
is
bad
failing
guys. And that's Roman, so they're slightly different.
True.
But that's for like the main bad guys, not necessarily for like everyone.
let's see, worth noting, Hermes is also the patron god of thieves.
Yes.
Well,
oh
yeah.
his dad was like an assassin, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I feel like there's probably a Greek myth about Hermes, like, and somebody else that we're missing. That's my guess. I just don't. My Greek mythology is failing me here.
Yeah, it's just what is she
Yeah.
based on?
But yeah, so we're kind of in this place now where it seems like a lot of Salem's henchmen are kind of in this questioning place. They're going, I don't know.
They're at a cliff, like a point of no return.
Like, I don't know how much I want to be here.
Yeah,
this is kind of a bad time for, her troops to stop falling in line. This is the big push.
Like, I don't think I go here. Like, I wanted to go here, but I don't think I want to go here.
The big thing here
I want to go to the school down the road.
Yeah, well...
Yeah, the school lunches just suck.
Yeah.
It's just goop.
It's just goop. My big point here is that if... this is the point of no return. They're either going to back off the cliff or take a leap of faith. And potentially the wrong one. Potentially like the wrong cliff. So...
We're going to lose some of our baddies?
I think that our baddies will suddenly realize that they were about to go on a very perilous venture that did not end in the result they were necessarily looking for. And that they might need to amend their allegiances post-haste. Or at least not be with her. Because they are certainly enemies of the state in every country if their faces were known. Which they aren't necessarily. But... if it were ever found out, they'd be like, we're putting you in jail. Or we're executing you on the spot for being a spy, because how on earth could you tell whether or not their allegiances had shifted unless you have someone like Robin in the picture? What is she doing right now? Rotting in a cell. Likeliness to be helpful? Unlikely.
Well, we're debating as to whether they're going to have a jailbreak, and we didn't get it this episode, but I still feel like we're going to get some more Robin and Crow this season.
Yeah, there'll probably be some jailbreaking.
It'll probably happen when Cinder shows up and causes a ruckus.
That's
yeah.
a good one. One point on this scene here. It's not that Salem doesn't know what's going on. Apparently, the whole ceiling of Killy Willy is just made of flying monkeys.
Yeah.
At least that's how I interpreted that. Maybe there's just one hiding in the shadows there, but like she's definitely got eyeballs on what they're doing.
Yeah, Salem kind of knows all.
You know,
It
we hadn't
does.
seen those flying monkeys since what, the season that they were supposed to be. Was it previous last season when they were supposed to have flying monkeys at the Grim Pool coming out, and then we like didn't see them at all, and now we're starting to see them or something?
I'm pretty sure last episode when Killy Willy disgorged a bunch of Grim, there was a flying monkey among them.
Okay. Because they made like a big deal of those flying monkeys, and we haven't seen any in any real prominence.
I bet when Team RWBY gets back into the fight towards the end of the season, we'll see some flying monkeys.
Probably.
That's my thought.
Probably. So, back with our fugitives, John proposes that Winter send them into Killy Willy ahead of the bomb team as scouts that can tell them, like, hey, maybe put the bomb here. And this would also give them time to look for Oscar and try to retrieve him before Killy Willy goes boom. And an argument ensues over this, and they're told that trading 3 lives for 1 is stupid. And Ren disagrees.
He gets real upset.
And Harriet kind of comes and says a bunch of stuff to him. He's like, feelings don't matter. Only the job matters. When someone on your team dies, you move on because they're replaceable.
Replace them.
Yeah.
Not just you move on. You stick somebody else in there. Doesn't matter who. It's just the job. Like, this is... I find it hard to believe anyone could believe that. Like, this is such a callous way of looking at it, you know? And Ren picks up on that a little bit.
Yeah. Like, he definitely picks up on it very, very quickly, because he's basically like, no one's replaceable. And then we see a new facet to Ren's semblance. It seems like Ren can now see people's, like, I don't know what you would call it, like
state?
Their emotional
Emotion
state.
petals.
Yeah, the truth of their soul or whatnot.
What is this, persona?
And he calls people out. He calls Harriet out. He's like, you don't believe that. You're really mad about Clover. And you're trying to deal with that right now, aren't you? And then
she does not take kindly to that.
No.
Nobody would, to be fair.
He's often the things that cut the deepest are the things that are true.
Yeah.
And he also calls out what's her face. And
Elm.
he makes no. I thought Elm was the vine guy.
No, Elm is the tree feet woman, and then Vine is the stretchy arms.
Yep,
guy.
Yep, that's right. Yeah, so he calls out Elm, and he makes an observation. He's like, "Oh, that's why you lost against Team RWBY," which I see what they're trying to do. Because I know that there were a lot of people from last season who were really upset over the fact that Team RWBY beat the Aesops. So they were like, they should not have been able to do that. And so they're trying to give a reason as to why Team RWBY was able to beat the Aesops. And on the surface, I guess I can kind of believe it. But the thing is like, they're talking about the fact that they don't operate as a team, but Team RWBY versus the Aesops was just a series of one-on-one skirmishes.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't, I mean...
Maybe they're trying to make the argument that it's because they decided to let it get into those one-on-one skirmishes and didn't try to work together as a team to take down Team RWBY. that's why they lost. Maybe that's the angle that they're playing at.
Maybe
It
I think we had
started
like
out as 1-on-1.
it started out as 1-on-1, but it didn't eventually just start to pile on as more victories accrued on
Well, it
Team
was
Ruby's
it,
side.
Blake and Yang were working together against Elm and Vine, and I think Elm and Vine were working together pretty well that whole fight too. So I don't
Yeah.
really that I don't think was like a sticking point, but Harriet and Ruby were off on their own, and Marrow and Weiss were off on their own, and their fights were interrupted. I mean, Weiss she's just better than him. That's what that is. But I think Harriet and Ruby's fight ended when Weiss stepped in. Right?
Yeah,
Right.
so as
Yeah.
Team Ruby started to win their solo victories, they started to pile on the rest of the team, and that's how they won.
Yeah. By
Right.
working together. I mean, really, Yang and Blake were working together.
Mhm.
Like they had some team synergy, and so did Elm and Vine, to be honest. But
Yeah.
I thought that fight went pretty well, and we can talk about whether or not the splitting up into smaller factions was a good call, but I think it was handled a lot better than certain other.
No, I agree. I
that-
think it's like I loved that fight. I think it's one of my favorite fights in the whole show. Just from like the way that it's structured and paced in comparison to,
Yeah.
as you said, other large group fights that we've seen in the show.
That shall not be named on this podcast.
Nope.
But I definitely like. I guess I can understand where people are coming from and being like, oh, like Team Ruby should have lost that fight. But I guess I would probably need to go back because I remember there being some disagreement among the Aesops before that fight started about how to handle it.
I think so. Also, Marrow just tends to not necessarily commit himself as much to a fight.
Yeah.
That is the Aesop's weakest link is Marrow. When he is committed, he is an excellent person to have your back. When he is not at his 100%, he may as well not be there.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say Weiss still beat him, but
Yeah.
That's why I agree that Weiss would totally kick his butt. It's like, he's not totally in this. I believe he also was not necessarily in favor of the action they were taking in the first place.
Yeah, well, they have that, like, Harriet and him have that back and forth, right? Where he's like, but we don't want to kill them. And she's like, Dad, we don't know that. If we got to kill them, we got to kill them. And then I think what pushes them over the edge is when Yang and Blake finally take out Elm and Vine, and they're like, oh, they're not playing around. We have to get serious, and it's too little too late at that point. But
yeah. So
classic underestimation of the protagonist of the series.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's like, obviously we
So-
can beat these little punks into their place. Oh shit, we forgot that they've been, I don't know, improving and watching and learning from us. Damn it.
Yeah, so anyways, this is kind of a neat new trick that Ren has where he's able to kind of read people's true emotions.
you don't think that's going to come up with this whole, the whole Renora thing, do you?
Oh,
no, not at all. No.
No.
Definitely not.
Totally that what is it that pedal that keeps flying around Nora in the intro? Totally will be flying around her when he sees her again.
Now we understand what that means.
I thought that was just metaphorical, and I was like, well, that's a really cool metaphor. I mean, it is also that.
It is a metaphor, but not necessarily the metaphor we were alluding to.
Yeah.
It will have a by far more literal meaning by the end of the show.
Yeah, it's not just a metaphor. It's literally his power now.
Yeah.
It is an interesting development of his that he can go from making himself invisible to Grimm by calming his emotions to reading other people's. That is an interesting expansion on a scale that I don't think we've seen with any of our other protagonists so far. Like,
a little development of Jean's, his healing and his
Jean
warding.
figured out what his semblance did. What I'm getting at is a development on the basic power that they've gotten from their semblance, an expansion upon it. Like, Maybe Ruby's splitting and defiance of matter and thermodynamics
deletion.
was an eventual expansion on that, maybe. But nothing apparently obvious. I think until this point. I think.
No, I think this is the biggest like semblance evolution that we've seen.
Yeah,
by far.
I agree. I mean,
And
we've seen some semblance evolutions, but this one's pretty big.
I think this is an interesting how it ties into Ren being all, angsty moody this season. Like it's sort of this unlocking this power to see emotions where before he was just really good at suppressing his own or everyone else's emotions. Like there's the metaphor hits a little close to home. It's this is it's not just a development of his semblance powers. This is an evolution of Ren's emotional character.
Yeah.
Right.
No,
that
for sure.
Okay, maybe it's a little heavy-handed with the floating petals and everything, but I think it gets at that emotional evolution that he's doing.
Perhaps
Yeah.
it took the emotional evolution for him to figure that out.
Yeah, well, it took him getting to the point where he stopped masking his emotions in order to see the emotions of others, maybe.
Right. Yeah.
So that also could be that he perhaps could have done this a long time ago if he had, reached that point sooner. Like, perhaps this was a part of his semblance the whole time, but he's only just now figuring it out because he's not just suppressing himself into oblivion.
Yep.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
So, Winter makes the call to give them a chance. And Harriet is like, "I'm sorry, what? They're fugitives. Why would you do this?" And Winter's just like, "I outrank you."
I love that line. It's like, get bed, Harriet.
Yeah.
This is for all of your acting up for this entire season. Get over yourself.
The fuck up.
Get in your damn place.
That's pretty good.
And yeah, so Winter's like, "We're gonna drop you as close as we can, and y'all go do your thing, and be out soon because there's gonna be a big boom."
Yeah, we're not waiting for you.
Yep, we are not waiting. And then just as they're leaving, Ren calls out Winter's kind of inner conflict as well. And Winter is, I think, by far the most conflicted person we've seen. She's got a lot of emotions there.
Mm-hmm.
She's got so...
She does have all the colors of the Aesops, like all of their conflicting, like, leaf colors. She's got them all.
Yeah.
Which kind of also symbolizes that she's the new leader of the Aesops. Get it?
Well, maybe. I read it because, like, okay, so Harriet was angry about Clover's death, right? Elm was angry, so they had these red and orange petals floating around them. Marrow was sad, so blue petals. I don't know what the green petals around Vine were supposed to be. Maybe an inner peace, calm, indifference kind of thing. I don't know. Green is kind of a neutral color in that sense, but Winter's got all of these. So she's mad, she's sad, she's whatever Vine was, is what, like, she's very emotionally conflicted. She's got a lot of stuff going on in her head.
Yeah.
Ren is pink. I don't know what that means. It's just his color, so.
Yeah.
I mean, that is...
Maybe it doesn't mean anything.
Pink is the spirit animal, okay? Don't question it.
Maybe it means love? I don't know. Just...
I don't know.
Who knows, man? It's Ren. Who knows what goes on in that head?
So, yeah. Then we go back to Team RWBY, and they want to try to free Robin and Crow, and May is like, "I do not like this plan." May is mad at them and basically is like, "Look, you can't rely on other people to save you all the time. You need to choose between Mantle and Atlas." So pick. And before
Saved by
they
the bell.
Yep, before they have to, there's a knock at the door. And who is it? It's Klein.
Fine.
Klein has returned. The J.
Excellent.
Michael Tatum boy has returned to RWBY.
I'm very happy Klein is back.
Yes. And Whitley called him.
Indeed.
Yep. And Whitley is all like, Whitley goes all tsundere, and he's just like, that girl needs a doctor. I didn't do this for you. And Weiss is like, I know. You did the right thing. That wasn't self-motivated.
Yeah,
That's
the right thing.
That's great. That's an
For
improvement.
the right reason.
And that's why it meant
Yeah.
so much. She gives him a hug, and I went, "Oh my god,
Yeah.
my heart just melted." I felt like the Grinch.
It's a good moment.
And so there's like a good little brother-sister moment.
It's heartwarming.
And then there's another knock at the door. It's not quite a knock at the door. It's
no,
more
that's
like
not a knock.
on
That's a
their-
fucking explosion.
Explosion.
It's more like a knock on their pavement.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and
I love the. You didn't call anyone else, did you? And
Yeah.
the head shake.
and yeah. So it's Penny. Penny's there,
Oh, it's Penny.
and yeah. Apparently, I didn't know this. Apparently, Penny bleeds green blood.
Yeah,
Oh, is
that's
that what
news
that?
to everybody.
Okay.
Yeah, that was her blood, not her paint job.
I was wondering what did like a Grim spit on her on the way over? Like, what the heck is this? That makes more sense. It's Penny blood. Okay.
It's Penny blood.
That's
and,
very sad.
Yeah, and she says, "I'm sorry," and then passes out. And all I can say is that it's look, it's a little convenient that that Penny just lands on their doorstep.
I don't think
Her
it's
doorstep.
convenient. I don't think it's a coincidence. And I expect that we might get some context when we come back from the break.
I don't know about that, but
Okay.
For Penny to just randomly crash land on the Weiss family property, that is not a coincidence. That's just not possible.
No.
They're too far away
It's
for that to be a
it's
coincidence.
called a Hollywood occurrence.
Even for that, it's just they're too far away for that to just happen.
I mean, I'm agreeing with you, Ian. I'm also just keeping in mind the show that we're watching.
I don't even. Well, they could totally say oh yeah, this just happened to happen, but I would hit doubt.
with the amazing, not only plot convenience timing, but also like joke convenience timing of happening right after Klein shows up. Like, it's very convenient for her to just fall from the sky immediately after Klein arrives, so that they can do a joke about you didn't invite anybody else.
What I find more plausible is that Penny might have pinged Ruby's scroll and perhaps traced its location to the estate, rather than her randomly picking that spot as a crash landing zone.
So you think Penny was trying to get back to RWBY, maybe?
Yeah, because it might have been impossible for her to get back up to the Amity after what happened. I don't find that entirely out of the realm of possibility.
Penny was being hacked. I really don't think she had control over herself.
It might have also been Watts.
Does Watts stand to gain by dropping Penny off at the Schnee Manor? He doesn't know that Team
a
RWBY
Trojan
is there.
horse.
Well, we'll see. I don't know.
I don't know. I just know that things are not what they seem.
Now,
I think
before. Oh, go ahead.
One last. I think the interesting part about that is that she wasn't hacked in that scene. At no point did her eyes flicker red. You know, she seemed obviously very wounded, but she seemed normal in that sense, which you mentioned Trojan horses there. I think she's still hacked. I think she's just gonna. There's a point at which she's going to activate.
Yeah,
That's probably fair.
There's a reason I chose the word Trojan horse very deliberately.
Yep.
Yep. Now, I mean, but it still doesn't explain how Watts knows that they're at Schnee Manor. But whatever.
If they can call, if they can make phone calls, you can find out what cell towers they're paying off of. That's basic tech.
mean,
Watts is a smart
To be
man.
fair, remember, this is Atlas IT guys at work here, so basically they're idiots. So when Ironwood gave Watts access to their systems to go try
But guys,
Penny,
Watts is in the fucking Watts is in jail. He went back to his
cell phone. He's got his little broken cell phone that he can apparently hack the universe from, So he probably has access to security cameras inside Schnee Manor, and he's probably like, "Oh, hey, I did a facial recognition search for Team RWBY, and look where I found them."
He's probably doing something by now. Also, they weren't like reading the code he was entering behind that desk. They were just like, "Watts, do the thing."
Because their IT is terrible.
Right, anyway, what I'm saying is that there are a multitude of reasons why Penny could be there.
Well, I'm still thinking that it's probably my best guess is that it's plot convenience.
Yeah,
but,
that's
however, before we wrap up, I know I forgot to mention it earlier, and I know that Katie would be absolutely furious with us if we didn't bring this up, because it's a theory that she developed back in Volume 6 that was confirmed in this episode. Salem wants to die.
Yeah.
I think we all agreed with that theory.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think
But I don't think we've had in-universe confirmation of that.
We have not had in-universe confirmation that is what she wants, but Ozpin confirmed it for us in this episode that she hopes that by bringing the 4 relics together, humanity will be judged, and we will be judged irredeemable, and the world will end, and her life will also finally come to an end.
He just wants to die.
Here's an interesting question. Does anybody think that Salem will ask Jin how she can die, to confirm perhaps that will ensure that she is killed? Because she did say that she had questions for Jin. She believes this will work. It's not confirmed. Does anybody think that she will ask Jin to confirm that information in some way?
I don't know.
I feel like she already has the gods say so that that's what's going to happen. Granted, that was like millennia ago, but they're gods. They probably blink an eye and a millennia goes by. I don't think that she would be like, "Oh, they're gonna go back on their promise or whatever."
Yeah.
But
I'd like for Salem to confirm it herself, but it seems fairly evident that she just wants to die.
It does bring up a good question of what does she want. I mean, if she just wants the lamp so that she can collect all the relics and bring the gods back to judge people, then that's one thing. But has she stated that she actually wanted to use the questions of the lamp? Because if that's the case,
she has not said what questions she will ask yet. She said that she has questions, but not what questions she would ask.
Right, because that's an interesting, for a fairly omnipotent baddie, what could she possibly want to know that she doesn't already know?
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Maybe where the location of the other relics are?
I get
but she's already.
She probably already know where they are right now.
She knows
the beacon
relic. She knows the one in. She knows the one in Vacuo is probably still there, but they searched high and low for the relic in Vale.
Yeah, didn't find
it. Probably because it's like in Ozpin's mind or something silly, but
Yeah.
Well, oh yeah,
See,
they can't
I
get
mean,
into the vault at Beacon Academy.
Yeah, because they will.
Oh, is that the Spring Maiden? Is that why?
No, they. I'm pretty sure they did get into the vault at Beacon Academy because that's where Cinder was, and that's like,
That
and
yeah,
that's
that
where
sounds
Cinder
about right.
and Osmond
So it
fought.
wasn't there. Maybe it's a scheme.
Well,
Yeah.
Who knows?
They got into the basement, but they didn't like. Remember, Yang.
No, because no, that is the vault. Ozpin calls it the vault below the school.
Well, sure, but the vault in Haven was also like a sub basement of the school kind of thing. But Yang has to like unlock the door and go through to pick up the lamp, right? And that
but we also
weird
know
sort of
that that's
ethereal.
not. I don't believe that that's necessary for
All of them.
Atlas, though.
Atlas's
because
one was just like a discrete elevator, I believe.
yeah, Atlas, you just go down the elevator because the relic is what's holding Atlas in the air. So I
I
don't
feel like there's.
I don't think that you have to walk through like a dimension door for all of them.
I think you maybe it's not a physical door, but I feel like that's a really terrible security system if you don't have, like, that's the whole point, right? Is that you need the Maiden's powers to get access to the
I guess
relics. That's
true,
why
yeah.
Salem wants Cinder to collect the Maiden powers so that she can use her as a key to unlock all the relics.
We will need to revisit some of the specific criteria needed for using the rugs because you know what? It's been a while since that particular information has been relevant.
Yeah. So I guess we'll see. But
So-
yeah, I mean Ozpin hid that relic really well. So
Watch, it's like
that's
it's
probably
buried
one of the questions.
under a rock on a discrete beach somewhere that you'd never know it was there unless you knew what you were looking for. It's like, oh yeah, it's just here. Anybody could have found it. That's why nobody ever.
Yeah, it's just literally under a rock somewhere.
yeah.
The middle of a field, like just.
Well, what are your guys' predictions moving forward after this hiatus?
Let's see. That's kind of hard. I'm not sure if I have anything particularly specific, but Atlas will fall in a physical, literal, or metaphorical sense. We'll see.
Yep, rock falls,
All
everyone dies.
three.
Or all three. That is certainly possible. We are all aware that Robin and Crow will get out, obviously. They're getting out. There's no way that they don't. I don't necessarily have anything drastic to speculate about until we know more. Hopefully more fights, because fuck, I'm bloodthirsty.
Yeah, I think
Hope we
we're
get some
looking
big
at
fights
I
next
think we're
episode.
looking at an Emerald defection here really soon.
That does seem to be imminent. I think Mercury's gonna join her, which was not what I was expecting after last episode.
I feel like,
Well,
I don't know, I feel like Tyrion and Mercury are gone from the show for a while.
I think they're gone
Yeah,
from the show, but I think Mercury wants out.
I
Yeah,
agree. I think
agree.
Mercury wants out.
but I feel like we're going to address that in the Vacuo arc.
Yeah.
Not this season.
Not this season. Emerald is like we're going some point soon.
And I think Hazel, they don't know that they're on the same side yet, but I think they're gonna put that together.
Mm-hmm.
So what they're gonna
Maybe.
No, go ahead.
Well, maybe if Emerald goes to if we're, and I still don't know where we're getting the Emerald Aladdin thing from, but I'll believe it.
Mm-hmm.
If she's gonna do some lamp question asking, maybe Hazel will walk in on that particular thing and be like, "Hey, I wanted to use the lamp," and it turns out that they both asked the same question. So, like, oh, hey, we can be allies and fight Salem together.
What would be interesting is how is Cinder gonna play into this? Because depending upon Cinder's actions in the next half of this arc of this season, I think will determine how, when, and where Emerald will defect. Because she's still loyal to Cinder in that respect. At least for now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Well,
it
she's
would,
going to try and get Cinder on her side
I
before
think
she
she's gonna
defects.
try. And I think Cinder's gonna tell her to fuck off. And
Yeah.
I
So.
think she's just gonna have to break that pseudo maternal bond that she shares with Emerald, and she's like, all right, that's it. I'm just gonna leave with the lamp, hopefully, and with Hazel. See ya. Oh, and we're taking off. It'll probably just happen during the rescue attempt. Is when this will go down, because we have a rescue party going in for Oscar. That will probably be when lines are drawn in the sand, as it were. That seems to
That's
be about
true.
the right time.
Well, we have okay. So we've got two big fights set up. We got Team Juniper going into the whale, and our defectors plotting stuff inside the whale. So there's obviously going to be some intra killer killy willy action here, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're probably going to try and someone's going to try and stop Salem, conducting her symphony, and that's not going to go well, I bet. But
Oh goodness.
I
Forrest,
kind of
hold
feel
up.
like Hazel's going to die.
Jake just made an excellent point. Ren's new semblance abilities can also turn both Hazel and Emerald if he can read their
Oh,
emotional states. Excellent
that's
point.
true.
Help.
Yeah.
And that would let them know that maybe they're not on or as opposite sides as they thought they were, and
Yeah.
like if he sees a bunch of fear in them, and he tries to,
If you ask the
yeah,
right questions, get the right emotional responses, that means you're knowing you're getting somewhere. That they're actually receptive to the words you're saying instead of stonewalling you. That's very useful.
Mhm.
it is.
Yeah.
That is very useful. I also want to point out the other fight we're gonna get. We're gonna get Team RWBY Cinder fight, because Cinder's
Oh,
on her
yeah.
way to Penny, and Penny just landed in Ruby's lap.
Oh,
Yep.
shit, that's true. Yup.
Mm-hmm.
So
The Battle of
that's gonna
Schnee
happen,
Manor.
and that leaves. Yeah, at Schnee Manor, and what that leaves, actually, fight number 3. That leaves the breakout of jail crew to deal with Ironwood.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Prediction.
I do forget, is it part of Cinder's mission to free Watts first? Or to go after the maiden first?
Yeah, that's true. She was supposed to free Watts, but is she
Yeah.
really gonna do that?
She probably will have to learn Penny's current location. Because she doesn't know where Penny is.
Yeah, that's probably true.
So what will probably happen is Cinder will start the cascade of events that will lead to the freeing of our jailbirds. Literally.
Mm-hmm.
And Robin and Crow will then probably take the fight to Ironwood. And while Cinder likely will escape due to the chaos involved with Watts, or at least Watts' information. Watts not necessarily required. And
Yeah.
then make their way to the Schnee Manor. And then the Battle of the Schnee Manor will take place between Cinder. I would highly suspect Watts is going to be there with her, because otherwise, if it's just Cinder, maybe with
Cinder and
Emerald in
Neo.
tow, they are vastly outnumbered, 2-1.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Is it bad that I want just like a 20-minute episode that cuts between 3 different fight scenes and there's literally
would.
nothing else?
I would love that, except they will never give me what I want. They never do.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, it'd be cool. It'd be cool, but unfortunately, we have to wait because they are now on hiatus,
For
coming
2
back
months.
in February. Yep. And as a result, we are on hiatus as well.
This is the last podcast of the year.
Yep.
Forrest, you're going to have to go into hibernation for 2 months.
Yep.
I mean, it won't be any different to me.
Well, yeah, you'll just
I don't-
we'll turn you off at the end of the episode, and then you'll wake up in 2 months and say that was refreshing.
Oh, that was a good 1 second nap. What's happened? Oh, a lot.
Well, you'll be processing all the information from the episode date I'll be uploading into your module, but, you know.
Yeah, yeah. Well, like, as soon as I wake up, you just, like, plug in a module of, like, current events and the new RWBY episode. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool.
Yep.
Yep.
So, yeah. We are also going to be going on hiatus for a bit. And, yeah. So we'll be gone for a while. But we will be back when RWBY is back. But yeah, I think that brings us to the end of our podcast.
For the year.
So, thank you guys so much for watching. Do kind of our final housekeeping things. Once again, my name is Brian. You can find me on Twitter at Hubbard Audio. I'm also in the RWBY Discord server at Hubbard Audio. Ian, where can they find you?
Well, you can also find me in the RWBY community Discord. I'm an admin, and I help keep the peace down there, so if you're having any problems, please let me know. I'll be more than happy to hear what you have to say. And that's what else I do here, besides running the podcast on the technical side.
And Forrest, where can they find you?
Can't, but I'll be back when this show returns.
Awesome.
When RWBY returns.
Yeah, and I mean, just if you want to keep the RWBY conversation going, please remember we do have a public Discord server that you can join. We've got a RWBY Volume 8 spoiler chat in there, and that thing pops off all the freaking time. It's kind of a problem for me on days where RWBY comes out because I don't watch it in the morning like a bunch of people. I watch it much later in the day, so I have to avoid that chat like the plague. And we also, of course, have our Patreon only Discord server, and we do RWBY watch parties in there for the episodes when they come out for free. I think Katie has been hosting those and every week, and you can join that server, I think, for as low as $2 a month on our Patreon. So if you're so inclined to do that and kind of hang out with us and watch some RWBY and talk about it and all of that stuff, then maybe consider joining that because it's always greatly appreciated. But anyways, yeah, thank you so much for tuning in, and we will see you all next year. Bye!
See you filthy humans in the meat space in February.